ICS235, and in this video I'm going to go over the K nearest neighbor sections in Chapter 2. But before I do that, I'm going to I have some administrative announcements here on my on some changes I've made, and so let me pull up my, first of all, let's pull the textbook. I did make some sections in chapters 10 and 11 optional. That should lighten up the load a little bit. I also, if you look at the syllabus, I reduced the number of labs that you needed to do. You before you had to do 25, now you only have to do 20. But it's still, 50% of your grade, so that means each lab is worth a little bit more. Regarding the remaining 8 that you have to choose from, if you do go to your grades, you should see how all of the sections of the different types of activities in the textbook for each chapter, the points and so on. These are the points for the participation activities for each chapter. These are for the challenge activities for each chapter. Now the labs, all the labs are 10 points. They're all 10 points, and you have to do all of the required ones. There's the first lab in each chapter, and then you pick out of the remaining 18, you pick 8. Now, these numbers, of course, are points for the lab, for each lab. I don't pay any attention to those. I give you 10 points for every lab, but you can pay attention to those when you are choosing your 8. Presumably the labs that show only 1 point would be easier than the labs that show 3 points. But it could be that that you learn something well in one of the sections, and you'll do more labs in that section or in some chapters. So you may find in your studies that some 3-point labs are easier than some other 1-point labs. Okay, so one more thing is that some of the, I have to do these, I have to look at the class and the aggregate and decide and figure out how successful I was at the class meeting the student learning outcomes. Student learning outcomes I'm referring to are, if you look at the syllabus, I list these course learning outcomes here. And so what I've done is I've tied certain assignments in the textbook to meeting these course learning outcomes, CLOs, course learning outcomes. And so some of those have been chosen. And so for those, I'm probably going to just discuss those sections a little bit less, but other sections like labs and so on that are not in that, I will be much more, I'll give you a lot more information about the labs, but for some of them, a small number of them, I want to more or less see how you do on your own without my telling you the answer, without my outright telling you the answer. And so you'll notice those. So anyway, so those are my announcements. Let's go to the textbook and start. What I'm going to do is cover in this video, cover section 2.1, and then I'm going to go down and talk about lab 2.6, which is the K nearest neighbor lab, which corresponds with this section. This lab 2.6 happens to be one of those labs that I want you to do mostly on your own. So I'll give you a lot of good hints, tell you where to go to find everything, especially the stuff that you can't find in the textbook. I'll show you where to find that stuff. And then you should be able to follow along one of the Jupyter scripts to be able to get all the points for that lab. If we look at k nearest neighbor. What this is okay. So this is a supervised classification algorithm. What that means is we've trained a model with a bunch of data, and then and from that we have produced um, classes or categories that each of the instances have mapped into. So, for example, here we're looking at three different kinds of penguins, and what we've done is in this little example here, we've looked at a whole bunch of them, and we've determined that we see that if the bill length is, if there's it looks at two inputs, bill length and bill depth. The bill length is the length of the bill, and the bill depth is how big up and down it is. And that there's with penguins with deeper bills, uh, uh, it has to do with the kind of food that they eat. Um, so anyway, and we have determined from the training data which of these instances is an Adelie penguin or a chinstrap penguin or a Gentoo penguin. And then now we have new data, and we want to, based on the inputs, based on the bill depth and the bill length, we want to make an educated guess or a prediction on what kind of penguin that is. And so with k nearest neighbor, let's say we choose k equals 3. So that means, let's say we have a new, you should step through this. We have penguins, and we got 3 different kinds, 3 different species. And the body measurements are taken, and this is all the input data based on the bill length and the bill depth. The blue ones are Adelie penguins, the orange ones are chinstrap penguins, and the square green ones are Gentoo penguins. And then we're going to find a new penguin here, and boom, here it is right here. Now we want to guess what kind of penguin it is. Well, it looks like it's certainly not going to be a Gentoo penguin, but it could be either an Adelie penguin or a chinstrap penguin. So if we do k nearest neighbors is 3, then we find the 3 nearest ones, and based on that we go, oh, well, it must be Adelie, because 2 of them are Adelie and 1 was only chinstrap. So that's how k nearest neighbor works. The algorithm for k nearest neighbor is very simply, you can go through this, but you find out that you figure out the distance from where you are. You figure out the distance for all the points, all the ones you have in there, and then you sort them, the closest ones first, highest, or most closest ones first, and that's how we can figure out. We look at the 3 closest ones, and we look at what kind they are, and that's how we are able to determine what guess. That's our algorithm for predicting what kind of penguin it is. Now, you go through here and you say, well, it's selecting appropriate k. Well, what happens if we select a bigger k? What happens if we select 5 or 7 or whatever? Well, we can see that it changes. For the first 3, it would be Adelie, but for the first 4, it would be Adelie, and if it's a tie, then you do the nearest one. So then it'd be for first 4 would be a tie. So then you pick the closest one, and that'd be Adelie. And the first 5 is also a tie. So you'd pick Adelie. But then the first 6 is not a tie anymore. Chinstrap. There's 3 chinstraps and only 2 Adelies and only 1 Gentoo. So if we go k equals 6, then it changes the answer. See, so you got to decide which one. All right. So and here we can plot, see what the decision boundaries are, And so this is, we can do plotting to see that. We can visualize what's going on. And you should go through all this and step by step, this thing, it explains it much better than I do. All right, and it turns out that there's different ways of calculating distance. Okay, there's the Euclidean way, there's the Manhattan way, and there's the Minkowski way. Turns out that Minkowski has a parameter which when m is equal to 2, it's the same as Manhattan. No, it's equivalent. It's the same as Euclidean. And if m equals 1, it's the same as Manhattan, turns out. And if you want to visualize it, this is a great visualization. Euclidean is just, as the birds fly, as the bird flies. Manhattan is as the car drives. And, Minkowski's probably walking or something, and, you can cut across the corner yard here or whatever. But when you're selecting your model, when you're initializing your model, you would choose which way you want which method you want to use and so on. Here it shows some nice calculations. Sometimes it's nice to just go through the calculations once, just so you see it all in your head, and it's not all really what it is. It's understanding the terminology or the what all the funny letters mean. It's actually very simple. All right, so here's k nearest neighbors in scikit-learn. So we're going to use scikit-learn when we do our lab. So okay, blah 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 blah. There's how we fit. Okay, so first we would initialize the model, and then we fit the model. Then you do a prediction, and then we'd find out how score. There's actually a way to come up with. There's actually a score method for this model. So I'm going to open up. How am I going to do this? I'm going to open up the lab. Oh, no, wrong lab. This lab. And I'm going to kind of try to tell you. I'm going to kind of try to tell you where everything is without giving away the store. So let me do this again. And I'm going to go, okay, so I'm going to start up this Jupyter thing. Okay, I'm going to use this Jupyter thing because I'm going to pull stuff out of there. And then let's go to the lab. Let me just do this. This here. So here. Put this one. Okay. Okay, so here's the lab on the right. And here's this, I want to open up Jupyter on the left because I'm going to pull stuff out of here. Okay, so start it up. And what's the stuff we're supposed to do here on the right? Okay, so first of all, we import the necessary modules for the k nearest neighbor classification. Then we create a data frame for X using redshift and U_G, whatever that is. We don't need to know what that is. We just need to know where the columns are and whether they're numerical or just a class, a category, categorical. Then we create the what we're looking for as a result, the output, and that's the class or the category. And then we're going to initialize the model, and we're going to use k equals 3. And then we're going to fit the model, and then we're going to predict some stuff with the test data, and then we're going to calculate an accuracy score. Okay, so that's what we're supposed to do. Now, let's start with importing the necessary modules. That's here. Okay, so first of all, we're going to import these. It seems like we always have to use these. So copy, paste. Okay, and then, okay, we're already into a hard part. Import packages for evaluation. I think we need this one too, because we're going to use this KN neighbors classifier thing. KN neighbors. Copy this. I'll put this over here too. We need these three. And then we need this we need to import the packages for evaluation. Well, you can go all through here and try to find something, but that didn't do me very good. So what I ended up doing was you can search for this. How about searching for um, scikit learn? Oh, here, how about that? Scikit learn. You can see I was doing this before. How about scikit learn evaluation package? Um, and I tell you what we need it for. We need it for this thing right down here. Train test split. What that does is this is a SK, uh, scikit-learn method that splits data into a training set. The training set was X train and Y train. This is the inputs and the outputs, and X test and Y test. So then after we train, we train and then we test. Okay, so that's what this thing does. And we're looking for the module that contains that. And it turns out that it's, if we search here for this, I believe this, I'm going to add train test split. I want to make sure it has that. So I'm just going to do a search here. Boom. Blah, 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 blah. Well, that's nice that it does that. That's true, but I'm going to click here. It's the first one. And this is what we want. And to do this, this is how we want to use it. That looks very similar to this over here. Well, wait a minute. Let's go down here. Okay, here. Oh, look at this. This is what we need here. From sklearn model selection, import train test split. Copy that and paste it here. All right, now it turns out that, well, what else is there? What else? It also suggests you include this metrics thing, and I can't remember how I saw that, but you don't need it. So I'm just going to leave it at this. This is fine. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you the answer, aren't I? Okay, so done with that. Here you need to create the X data frame, and that is very similar to this. This creates the X data frame, the data frame creates a data frame called X with these two things, and you want to do it for these two things. Okay, got that? Okay, and then you got to do Y. Okay, you're naming this. Okay, right? It's penguins. You got penguins. Yeah, penguins. So penguins. Sky survey. And so you want to do this. Use sky survey instead of penguins, and you want to put this in there. And then for Y, you want to do, same thing, sky survey, and you want the Y to be class. Yeah, class. That's actually the output name, variable name. The column name is called class. So instead of this, it's that, class. And then this takes care of that. What else is there? Okay, that's that. And then we got to initialize the model. Initialize the model, that's very similar to this. Very similar. Oh, this is k neighbors equals 5. You got to do k equals 3. Oh, it's not KNN, it's called sky survey KNN. Okay. And then next you got to fit the model with this one and this. See, we got these out of this thing. Anyway, these are the two things we fit the model with. Well, that looks very similar to this. Okay. Oh, and then we have to predict Y pred. That looks very Blah, blah, blah. That looks very similar to predict this one. Okay. You can say y pred equals this. See, normally this would just output it like that. But you're gonna store it into a variable here, and then that's good. That's y pred. Oh, I don't ever see it being printed out. Anyway, that's okay. It doesn't ask you to print it out. All it asks you to print out is the score at the end, and to get the score, you use this, and that is very similar to this to get the score. Um, the pred, it's all on. You're doing it on test. These and this is test, and then it outputs. So anyway, that's all you have to do for this, and then that's it. That should help you out there. All right. So I'm gonna stop this video, and the next video I'm gonna make is gonna be on the next lab, and in that video I'll give you a little bit more detail. All right. So hope this helps. Thanks for watching.